Hey y'all, I've been waiting to try to film this until it got quieter, only it's just getting noisier and I really want to get it filmed. The lawn guy is here cutting our grass, the kids next door are having a party, and then Selena's going to be here this evening. I could wait and film it tonight and get it up tomorrow, but that's a whole nother day. I couldn't go live Thursday, and yesterday was really busy, so I thought I'd talk about how the bullet journal is going in the standard. We're gonna do a bit of a show and tell, and hopefully you'll be able to hear me okay. So this, I've got to fill in a few things here. Like I said, it's been pretty busy. So I used my own stuff for the decorations, and I printed out a smaller version, and we're gonna set up the weekly. This is this week that we're on right now. We're gonna go in. This is today and this is tomorrow. Hey, so there was no way I was gonna be able to continue to film with the lawn guy here and the kids outside at their party. I'm assuming it was one of the kids' birthdays. I went inside. There was no way I was going to be able to film. I went inside. I got dinner going. Selena's dad dropped her off. Selena ate dinner with us, played on the floor with some of her toys for a little bit. She sat in the recliner with me for quite a while, playing on a calculator that she acted like was a phone. She played with one of the old phones that we have. I got it out so that she could play with it. And then after Selena was picked up, which was about 10:30, I made brownies. Made sugar-free brownies for my mom and dark chocolate brownies for us. We like dark chocolate around here. And by the time that was done, David wasn't feeling too good, and I went and laid down in the bed. That was all she wrote. So it's quite windy today, so hopefully the only thing you're really going to pick up is the little bit of the wind and regular noises. But I wanted to talk about planning. I wanted to use some of my own things that I'd created for the PDFs for Patreon and for YouTube memberships. I also wanted to set it up differently than what I had set up for the monthly because I'd used them for the monthly. Now last week I didn't really use much of anything for the weekly. I used one little sticker with a mask on that I had redone and put a mask on. The sticker didn't come that way. And that was pretty much it. I'd used some washi tape. Now I did put in a quote. It's an Irish blessing. May your thoughts be as glad as shamrocks. May your heart be as light as song. May each day bring you bright, happy hours that stay with you all year long. I like to have either an oracle card that I pulled or a quote, an affirmation, something positive, so that every time I'm looking back at the week or when I'm looking back at the month, those show up and it reminds me of certain things I want to be reminded of. I don't have a whole lot going on during the week. There are on occasion appointments. There are on occasion things I need to do. Friday, we are going to be running errands. I am going to have an artist date. And I have a video due. I did end up writing down these 3 little blocks for each day in the week that are going to represent breakfast, lunch, and a snack because I've been remiss with eating. All 3 are only one or none of the above, and I've got to get better at that. I can't go all day without eating. It's not really good for me. I am drinking more water, but I still need to improve that. And I have gotten better about a snack, but I haven't gotten better necessarily about breakfast or lunch, even if they're small things like a mandarin or an apple or a banana or something for breakfast or lunch and switching things up. Because when I first get up in the morning, I'm not really that hungry. I don't get hungry for a little while. Lately, snacking on pecans, and that's been good, but I want to mix that up with some other things, so I may make my own trail mix. When it comes to what I set up for the week, I think about the things that I haven't gotten done with the week that's just passed. So right now it's Sunday. As I was doing this, it was Saturday. I'm looking back at previous days, at the week before, and at the monthly insert to see what I was supposed to get done. Did I get it all done? Which is why this video is going to be up today on Sunday because I didn't go live on Thursday. I got preoccupied with moving furniture around in the barn and some family stuff and some errand things. And it just completely and utterly slipped my mind what day of the week it was, what time it was. And then by the time I finally realized it, it was way too late. So I thought I'd do this because I don't do these very often. And I'm trying to focus more on my process and my purpose this year than just doing like a plan with me. One of the things I've also been trying to do is instead of thinking about to-dos and tasks because of the ADHD, I'll write to-do, but then over that, I'll write focus, which is what I did. I used the mild liner to write to-do. You're going to see me doing that. And then over that, I took the micron and wrote focus. So this week, I'm covering some of the things I didn't get done this past week. Organize and declutter the barn. I've been working on it. I'm not finished with it. Paint the bottom of the boat. This coming weekend, I want to paint the bottom of the little boat that I got from the thrift store. And I want to paint the bottom of it white. And then I'm going to write either Orca, which is the name of the boat from Jaws. It was Quinn's boat. Or I'm going to write the name of the little boat that the girl with the blonde hair was found in when she was hiding under the tarp. I need to clean out the cubbies and the Calex units, some of the bottom ones, and reorganize things. I need to clean and organize the craft table and set up the Windows computer. I need to create April's doodles and PDF. I've been working on them. You're going to see some doodles in here towards the end where I'll draw from my head a bunch of little animals. This time around, I drew some rabbits. There was one that very much looked more like a cat than a rabbit. I drew some ducks. That duck, I'm not so sure about that duck. But I do them from my head, and then I go back in later and I'll get my sketchbook out and I'll look at, say if I'm drawing animals, I'll look at a picture of a duck and I'll go into Creative Commons and I'll pull up pictures of ducks and I'll find a duck that was in the same sort of similar position to the one that I drew when I was planning out like what I wanted to draw and formulating them from my head. And that way I have a reference to kind of go by and not just from my head. Because when I'm thinking about from my head, it doesn't always work so well. So another thing is the listening path. This will be the last week of the listening path. So I need to kind of start pulling everything together. Film a little bit of my walk, a little bit of my morning pages, a little bit of my artist date. I've been back and forth remiss with the morning pages. It happens. But I am getting better about evening pages. And I'm getting better about journaling in general. I'm just not really a morning pages person. And I've accepted that fact. I need to figure out how to set up and then get into the lives set up the lives ahead of time so that when it's time for me to get in the live, I can just go in. I know how to set them up. It's the getting in once I've set them up, getting in a couple of days later. So yeah, I'm going to have to do a little bit of research about that so that I don't mess up again. I've got an alarm set on my phone for this Thursday for the live. I've got 2 alarms set, one for 3:30 and one for 4:45. So I'm reminded and that feels good. Part of what I'm doing is reminding myself of things that I know I'm most likely to forget if things get really hectic, chaotic, if there's something going on, and things do happen. Things do happen. So I try to remind myself of those things. One of the things that I've been a little bit remiss in is the log. And I think that's because I had these expectations of what I was going to put on the log instead of what I really want to put on the log. And now I'm going to be changing that up. This is a whole new week coming. So I'm going to go back in with the log and write down some things. As far as the actual bullet journaling goes, this is a very basic bullet journal setup. I am not doing anything major. I don't have any major collections in here. I am just keeping track of things and the weekly and the monthly and writing things down. I do have in the monthly a focus for the month. I have books and goals. The goals is the focus part. I changed it, got rid of the word goals and wrote focus. I've got some thankful thoughts, but that's actually going to be my reflection time for the month. And there's plenty of notes pages which I have changed into different things to suit my needs. One of the things that I do have in here are the books read, and I am still reading those books. I know that I'm probably going to do a few more kind of collection kind of things in the back of this insert, where instead it says notes, it'll be a collection of things, because I'll go through the insert, even though it's 160 pages, I'll go through that pretty quickly. Because I take notes, I write down things. I use pretty much 1 page per day for the dailies. And then I use 2 pages for the weekly spread now. However, I'm not doing a monthly calendar, but I am doing the monthly log, and then I'm doing a tracker. I have the intro page for the month, the log, the tracker, the weeklies, and the dailies. And then in between pages are things like where I'm planning out a coffee chat or where I'm doing research for something. Sometimes I'll write the research on the actual page for the daily, and then I'll put a little note, and then I have a bigger notebook and I'm writing the actual research notes in the bigger notebook. For example, on Fridays, I have a question mark. Paint the small bookcase white. And then I have silver or pewter drawer handles for dresser, get spray paint. And then I have research how to whitewash. I'm going to need to sand the small bookcase and the dresser before I paint them. I have a chest of drawers that I'm going to be using for storage because my desk does not have drawers. And that's going to be really helpful, but the dresser that I'm going to be using, it's pretty old. And I don't like the way that it looks. I can't stand the bronze gold kind of handles. So I'm going to be sanding it down, and I'm going to be, I'm definitely going to be DIYing it. I may even take the drawers out and rearrange things and not use the drawer fronts. So that it's more like a shelving unit, because my printer is going to sit on there and I'm going to need to put the paper in those shelves or in the drawers and things like that. So I've got research notes I need to go and research. I have reevaluate the books in the small the small white bookcase, because now that I've moved the chair over there and I can start filming those kinds of cozy coffee chats, I need to rearrange some of the books because you can see those books behind me, and I would prefer different books in the background behind me. And those are some of the things that I write down. One of the other things is, wrote down one day, maybe I should have soundproofed the barn. I have reviewed my watercolor palette and I took notes about it, switching out one of the blues for a different blue, taking out a green and adding a brown, switching the pinky red for more of a real red for March's palette, and I ended up swatching March's palette again because I had changed things around. I did a much smaller version this time. And then, like, for Saturdays, I have Plan With Me include using my PDF from YouTube membership and Patreon. If you haven't checked out the YouTube membership, the information is down below. There's a link for you to sign up for it, or you can click the join button. But if you'd like to see the perks, is what they're called for YouTube memberships. They're called tiers, I think, or something like that. They're called tiers for Patreon, and it says perks for YouTube for the membership. But anyway, I'm excited. I'm feeling really good about everything that's going on. I am working on my planning bit by bit. My overall system works. However, there have been things that had room for improvement, things that needed improving, and that's what I've done, is work on those things that need improving. I go back and forth quite a bit between the monthly pages and the weekly pages, the days before, and you'll see me looking back because I'm looking to see those things that I did not get done. I'm looking to see any priority things that I actually missed. I'm looking to see, like, for example, I had reordered my mom's boots, her less expensive version of the Ugg boots like mine that I had gotten. I had ordered them for her. She insisted on getting a size larger, and I said, no, Mom, So I ended up having to return those, and I couldn't find her size again in the same color in the black, so I ended up getting her light gray. They were supposed to be in Friday and they've not come in. So I've got to check and find out what's going on with that, because it's Sunday and as far as I know they have not come in yet. And they are having some issues with things, all the weather and different things like that. I'm not surprised that, that they're running late. They were coming from California, so that's a good ways. But I do try to keep up with what's going on, because sometimes my mom has appointments and I have errands to run and different things. So if we're not in the house or if we're away from the house, I don't want to miss them. That's pretty much about it as far as what I'm doing. There is some empty space. So as I go through the rest of the week, the beginning of the week, if things come up, I will be notating those things. I am doing my journaling. I'm looking back at my journaling to see if there was anything important that I'm looking at that I need to get done before I wrap up the week, because I like to kind of end the week on, hey, I got these things done. It's okay if I don't. You can see the doodles. But I try to, and because it doesn't take very long for me to do a bit of the journaling that I need to go back to whenever a video is saving or whenever I'm listening to something. I just used my Audible credit for the last Dresden, the latest Dresden Files book. I've heard a lot about it and I've heard pros and cons. I have all of the other books in real book form. And I haven't bought that one yet. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll listen to it on Audible. I'd hate to not have it in my series. But I think I'm going to listen to it on Audible. I don't listen to fiction very often on Audible. But I am trying to add more fiction to the mix of things, because I've been reading a lot of nonfiction lately. And I need some reading for fun. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to do the listening for fun. And I'm going to be listening to, I think it's Battleground it's number 17 in the Dresden Files series. So that's one of the things I'm going to be starting this week. I'll write it down in my books, and hopefully that one won't take very long. I tend to listen more to books lately. I have more time to actually listen to them because I can do that while I'm doing something else. But reading an actual physical book requires me to sit down and read an actual physical book. That makes it a little bit more difficult to journal while I'm doing that. So y'all have a great one. Thank you for being here. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again real soon.